All right. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for the second Business Central update webinar of the year. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. There is a Q&A and a chat button on the top of your screen. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can go ahead and drop them in either of those sections. If there is a break of conversation in between switching subjects, I will ask those questions to Kevin. If not, I can save them until the end. Please make sure you keep the questions geared toward what you are seeing on the screen. That way we can stay on topic and get the most information about this update as we can. Other than that, Kevin, I think that is it. I'll hand it over to you and you can take it away.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Craig. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. So this is Business Central 2024 Release Wave 2, which is really the second release, as Craig said, during the year. So if you're not familiar with me, I am Kevin Alexander, a pre-sales solution architect with Alta Vista Technology. And, my focus really is supporting sales and the implementation team and our customer success managers going forward. I've been in the ERP and CE space with Microsoft. I think this is like my silver anniversary or something this year. And as a note, on a personal note, hey, I am coming to you from Novi, Michigan, as a recovering racing cyclist and avid gravel backpacker. So a little bit about myself. So I always like to kind of start with something a little fun. So today being the 13th, some interesting things about the number 13, and I think they kind of fit in with the whole Microsoft and Business Central theme. So funny enough, on this day, in 1789, Benjamin Franklin wrote, hey, in this world, nothing can be certain except death and taxes. So with Microsoft, hey, we know we get our updates, right, every year. And if you look at neurology, right, 13 symbolizes change and transformation. And so we're seeing a lot of that in the Microsoft and Business Central space. And so today we'll talk about what some of that is as these products kind of evolve away from like very tactical to very kind of strategic type systems. And which kind of leads me to talk just a little bit about ourselves. So we like to think of ourselves like we're your trusted partner, right, for your ERP, in this case, Business Central. But also, like, our whole mantra here is like, what can we do for you with your technology, right? Whether it's Business Central, whether it's involved with the rest of your Microsoft technologies, helping integrate other systems together. So, we kind of span that whole relationship. And just as a reminder, like we although you work with a consultant maybe on a regular basis, our mission's a lot broader than that to help you through changes, right, in the world, and a lot now as we move to the cloud. And so, kind of a reminder, right, with Business Central, modern software, BC kind of sits at the top of what we think is this Microsoft stack of technologies, right? It's really the hub. And if you haven't had chances or opportunities or taken advantage of a few things here I'll mention, those are good things to kind of follow up again with either your consultant or maybe your customer success manager. One of them is, hey, did you know that BC and Teams is integrated, right? Or, hey, there is a whole new set of reports in Excel that give you not just Excel columns and rows, but actually dynamic reports with visuals and charts and slices. And so you can build those reports there as well. Integration with Word as well, right? If you want to be generating templates and emails out of the system, and you can use Word as a template. And then, everyone's favorite, hey, there is Business Central, right, has that add-in for Outlook that allows you from an email to kind of connect to customer and vendor records directly in email to kind of give you a little context about them and start transactions. So, things to kind of keep in mind. Today, we're going to talk a lot about Power BI. I think this is a really exciting area with this update in BC. And then just as a side note, you have workflows in Business Central, and there's some base workflows. And then you can also there's more advanced workflows using Power Automate to do those. For us as users, the experience is all in Business Central and completely transparent. For folks that might be on the IT side, where you want to present a more complex approval process chain with more conditionals about where things go and when, Power Automate will offer those to us. But for the users, we just know everything happens in one spot. So some things to keep in mind there. So being the second of our annual updates, we're down here at the bottom in October. And as a reminder, there used to be, so the wave cycle kind of works in this April-October timeframe, and then they do minor releases between each update. And some of you may notice those. You might get a notification that an update has occurred. Going forward, Microsoft is giving us a little more control over that, and you can have options to kind of opt out of some of the minor releases between updates. So before, where those would just kind of roll through, they're going to give us a little more control over those, which I think is a good thing. So speaking of updates, a lot of us here are users, but there's an admin council for Business Central that I want to just make sure everyone is aware of, or at least kind of put these updates in context for you. So there's something called the Admin Center, and that Admin Center lists all your environments. So in this case, this is a production environment here, and then I have these 3 sandboxes, right, that are attached to it. And I happen to select one of my sandboxes here, and that's in this second pick. And what this is really showing me here is down here, I can see what update I'm currently on, and I can see which one's available and where I'm going. And although they may pick a schedule for you, and they let you know that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, you can change your date, okay? And you can do that through the admin council here so that I can pick appropriate update date for myself. So good practice right now when updates come along is, hey, I want to have a current sandbox so you can copy your production environment. If you're not familiar with how to do that, get a hold of us. We'll help you through that process, but it's fairly straightforward. And then what you can do is you can set that sandbox to get your update first. This way, a couple things can happen. You can kind of test to see how the upgrade goes. More importantly, you get a shot at looking at some of these new features before they hit your production environment. You can kind of decide maybe which ones you may want to adopt, right? So you can do that using the admin council to do that. And in that admin council, there's also this area called notification recipients. If you want to check this out, and the reason for this is, you see, I've listed myself in here, which means I receive notifications about pending updates and upgrades, and as well as successful or maybe unsuccessful updates. And I will say with this version, 25, so there's 25.0, and then 25.1 is right behind it. Matter of fact, some of us that are on 25 are getting 0.1, and I'll talk about that a little bit today. But with 25.0, we've seen if you have a lot of customizations in your system, we've seen that there are a lot of updates that are being stopped and rolling back to have some of these customizations updated. And this is exactly what we want to see happen, right? So most of them are minor as Microsoft makes changes to some things in the back end, right, to improve things. Sometimes that means some of the applications or extensions or customizations that you have need to follow suit as well. So nothing to be alarmed about, but you may run into that as well. Okay. So let's kind of move down here. We'll start talking, get into the meat of things here. Oops. And first, the release guide for you for this wave is always available for you out at docs.microsoft.com. I'll leave this up for just a second and talk, but I've kind of shortened this URL here for everyone. So if you want to take a note on this right now, and this release shows you over here all of the things that are kind of being baked into 25.0 between 25 and 26, right, that we're going to see. And as a reminder, there's lots of areas right here that Microsoft invests in. The ones that are in blue, those are the ones that we're really kind of talking about today. The other ones are important because they kind of play into your bigger investment with Microsoft. But the ones in blue are the real ones we're interested in here today that have to do right with the application, maybe things that I see and do on a daily basis. Oh, and of note, I was just looking like, hey, why is this highlighted down here? If you go to this URL and you come to this release page, at the very bottom, you can actually download the update guide. So if you like things in PDF and want to read in that format rather than online, you can select that download. It's way in the bottom left-hand corner there. Okay. So let's now kind of dive in and see what we all have inside Business Central here for new features and stuff. So first, right, again, these investment areas that we're looking at, these are all areas that have seen improvements or new feature functionality going forward. Really the things that we're all really interested in, right, is reporting, Copilot, and there's a great new feature for recurring billing, subscription billing now built in, and we'll kind of talk about those today. So let's move on here, and I'll start with Copilot. So inside of your Business Central environment, if you happen to go up to the search up here and just type in Copilot, you'll see that there's a Copilot setup. In here, you'll see these are all the Copilot feature functionalities that are available for you now that you can roll out in your environment. And let's talking about those. The first is like this Copilot, what they call Copilot chat. So at the very top of your Business Central screen, you'll notice the Copilot icon up here. So right there at the top. And in there, when you select that, you'll get the slide in over here. And over here now, they'll give you some prompts. So prompts are just basically ways of phrasing things so the Copilot kind of knows what the area you're kind of asking for. So you can ask any questions over there. As an example, I can ask, what are my top customers as an example, and it will return those results. And not only that, but and I hope you're all familiar with analysis mode and that analysis tab now. It'll actually attempt to build that list for you automatically in this, in some examples over there. And so if you're wondering what that is, if analysis mode or the analysis tab is a new concept for you, inside of Business Central on every screen, so every list screen, and that's what you're seeing here. We're looking at a customer list screen, but we're seeing it kind of in a card format. At the top, you'll see there is not the Copilot icon, excuse me. It's this one right here. It's just the square, and it's got a couple filled in squares here. When you select that, it takes the list that you have and puts it into what they call analysis mode. And so if you're not familiar with that, another great thing to talk to your customer success manager or consultant about and help you learn how to use, really leverage those, because it really allows you to do things like pivot tables and totaling and stuff right inside the application, much takes that list screen and makes it much more powerful for users. Okay. So along with some other Copilot is, Copilot Analysis Assist. So that question that we just asked it about customers, here's the next screen. So that customer list that we were just on, and here is when we selected our analysis mode, and this is what this kind of looks like. So you'll see there's some tabs, much like an Excel workbook, and it took my question that I asked it and attempted to build a report. So on the screen down here, I can ask all sorts of questions like group by customers, by customer posting group, by sales revenue as an example. And it will attempt, right, to build that analysis report here for you. So ways, if you're really savvy with Excel and you like doing your rows and grouping and pivot table modes, then that's fantastic. But if you're like me, sometimes I like to kind of get things framed up a little bit. I like to use the Copilot mode here and then kind of have it start for me and then let me kind of run with it from there. So that's a new built-in feature for us inside of Business Central. The other is, look, when you start asking questions like, I can ask things like share customer details and include grouped by zip code, right? Remember, I'm kind of mentioning like what I'm looking for, right? And that we'll use those, right, to help group those things out for us. So just that analysis mode piece just really helps us start to look at data and not really have to know which buttons and things to pick. We can kind of ask things in a natural way. So this next one, this is really exciting, and so especially for everybody here that spends their time right in the financial section of Business Central, there's a new something new called Copilot for Finance for Outlook. It's only in Outlook right now. It'll get baked into Teams and into Business Central here eventually at some point. But what this is a way for us to start looking forward, right, in our roles instead of kind of everything kind of being hindsight analysis in some ways. In this example up here, although the email is really hard to read, we had sent out a reminder, AKA a past due, right, statement, collection notice email to this customer. The customer wrote back to us and said, hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't know much about this. Can you help clarify what this is for and how I can resolve it? Well, that popped up. I don't know anything about what's going on with this particular customer. So in my Outlook, I selected Copilot for Finance. It came in, gave me a summary of the email, and then some actions that I could run from there. One of them including, hey, do you want to log that email inside of Business Central as well? And, add a note to your Business Central contact, right? So a little bit of CRM type stuff, but not CRM as you know it, more around the folks that we work with. So interesting. We're starting to see these things show up in these types of applications show up. Now, this is not part of your Business Central release, though you can grab it and I think it's a 60 or 90-day trial release of this particular feature. The other Copilot features I mentioned to you, those are all baked into the product direct, okay? So with Copilot, right, one of the other areas that I like to see is this is actually running through a routine where I didn't have a product in stock and it's saying, oh, fantastic. You have a whole bunch of products that substitute for it. Did you know that? Do you want me to select one of those for me? So it's actually helping me step through that process, right, of helping fulfill an order for somebody. So again, another one of those areas that they're starting to bring in some of these helpful pieces with Copilot. Okay. This one kind of less less important for folks unless you happen to update your number series on an annual basis. So I know some people like to change their number series for purchase orders and invoices and such, so that the next year your invoice numbers or documents start with the year like 2025. If you do that on a regular basis, and maybe I've got several of those number series that I need to go add each year and make active, Copilot now will help me realize what those are and help me create those new ones along the way. So another built-in feature there for us coming. This one's my one of my favorites. So kind of moving on, we'll talk about subscription billing. So one of those areas has kind of been a gap, right? So as the world's we've kind of moved on, and people have been, more and more organizations, right, adding subscription billing, monthly reoccurring, right, to their or annual to their business. You have to kind of either come up with a process inside of Business Central for managing that, and there's a couple great ISVs and AppSource that do this process wonderfully. But now Business Central subscription billing now actually part of the product and baked in there, and it will work both on the purchasing and sales side of the business. So really, really happy to see this come along for a few reasons. So I think there's a few of you out there, even today here, that are on the call that can take advantage of this. The other area that I think everyone kind of gets inundated with, and people talk about all the time, but it's, we're finally seeing the realization of it, is Power BI, right? Microsoft puts that up at the top as kind of one of those cornerstone applications. And we've seen bits and pieces of it start to kind of work its way into Business Central, but not really fully. So with 25.1, so you have to be on 25.0. When you go to 25.1, Microsoft's now including 70 plus built-in Power BI reports that cover all these different areas. So finance all the way through projects, inventory, and warehousing. And so those are getting baked in. So the process for that a little bit for folks is you need to be in 25.1, and then within Power BI, in Power BI, you can then download each of the different areas, so finance, sales, purchasing, etc. Their own app from AppSource. Those will download, install into your Power BI environment, right? So those are the ones that you want to use. And then inside of Business Central, there's something called the Power BI connector. So you just go in and look for Power BI, and it's going to ask you some really basic reports, very basic questions like, hey, what's your fiscal year look like? Which report do you want to use for finance? And basically, when they are lookups to these reports, and you just select them. Once you do that, then reporting becomes available directly right inside of Business Central. So you can view these reports in Power BI, embed them in other applications like you could before, but now they show up in Business Central, right, as a page, just like if you were looking at any other page, a purchase invoice, your chart of accounts, whatever that happens to be, they will appear in Business Central as a page to the users going forward, and with all of the same capabilities on that page to kind of analyze and look at reports. So if you're interested, right, in getting those rolled out, seeing what update you're on and getting those rolled out, again, hey, contact your customer success manager or your lead consultant. We'll help you get that. We'll help you get that done here. So really, really good direction here. We're really excited about it, and I think it really starts to kind of show you what information is possible to look at and analyze coming out of Power BI. Okay. Another, if you're on the financial reporting side, right? Financial reports out of the box, fantastic. But you'd have to go build like all of your comparative stuffs before they gave you a very kind of, we'll call it level, 100 level type reports. Now coming with your 25 update, they've got more row definitions in there for both, budgeting, remaining amounts, etc. So they're giving you, the ability not only to kind of add to your financial reporting capabilities, but also giving us examples of, you kind of might have always wondered, like, okay, how can I do this? Well, now not only are they there, but now you kind of got examples to, again, help build off. And so I think these are all moving in the right direction, and a little bit about financial reports as well. These are all available to expose through Power BI as well. And that's a services thing to make that happen. But maybe you have folks in the organization that are not BC users, but you want them to be consumers, right? So now we've got those canned Power BI reports, but also if you create some different financial reports that you want to make available to folks, you're able to do that as well, right? So I don't know if we have anybody who's using projects. It used to be called jobs. Remember, they've made that change, but there's a few things that kind of to point out from here really quick on this side. So first, you can run replenishment for projects. So if you have projects that have items in it, right? I want my order planning and requisition worksheet and stuff to be able to pick those up to help me purchase those. That's all now standard functionality in the product, so I don't have to kind of work around that. You can also now push the stuff out to the worksheet as well, and service contracts and quote contracts for being able to take those and file off copies of those as well. So some updates in that area. If anybody wants to talk more about project, let us know here, and we'll talk to you directly about that. If you weren't aware, so Microsoft has a native connector for Shopify. So no third party needed, right? There's some special circumstances why a third party connector might be more appropriate, but in general, there's the Shopify connector, and now just enhancing that, and specifically, right, a couple of the big ones that are actually the ones at the top: shipping fees and Shopify refunds. So those right now have been enhanced, and then also payment reconciliation coming in with Shopify invoices. So they continue to enhance that, so that relationship continues to grow. Where that Shopify connector may not be the best for some folks is if you've got B2B. There are some special things about B2B that aren't quite in the Shopify connector yet. I mean, I'm sure they will get there, but if you're in a B2C relationship, something and you're considering an e-com or you're using Shopify, really take a look at what this connector can do for you. Okay. And hold on a moment here. I see that slides that I blanked out are actually included in my pack here. So field service, if you're, so Business Central has a service module in it, right? By default, strong service, really great if I'm doing service in-house. Prior to uh, this release, or really it started to show up last April in wave one, but prior to this release, there's a field service provider that we partner recommend with, expand it, and they have a great solution for Business Central. Now Microsoft has integration between its own field service, which is built on the CRM platform, and Business Central. So there's a few caveats before anybody might get excited about that. First, field service integrates only with projects in Business Central right now. It does not integrate with the service module. So it's really project orientated. So if I was, I don't know, building a home or, installing a piece of equipment someplace, and those were projects in our system, and we had contractors or our frontline workers going out, great solution. If you're going out and you're more in that field service work order mode, right? Break, fix type thing, still not there yet for us. And that's just, so hopefully we'll see them approach that here at some point in the future. But field service integration works really well right now with projects. So again, there's some caveats to that, but something to look at, right? And again, as a side note, if you're not familiar with some of the licensing in Business Central, the way Business Central licensing kind of works here is that you can have your primary license. So this would be your BC license as an example, and maybe I have the same person that maybe needs a field service license as well. Those particular users, they don't need to have both a full BC license and a full field service license. Field service can actually be an attachment license to Business Central. So it comes in at a fraction of the cost of a full license, right? That's if you're putting the two together, right? So attached licenses help a lot with that if you're using multiple Dynamics 365 products. So the Power Platform, right, gets talked a lot with Business Central. And so what is that? So if you're using CRM today or field service or case management or one of those, and that sits on that CRM platform, those applications are actually Power applications. I mean, they're Power Platform applications. They're built on that. And so Business Central has, even without those, right? You can have a native integration with that platform. So it will sync data there natively, and you can select the tables and the things that you would like to select there or have integrate there. And then you can do things like report from that. You could build applications on that. I could build mobile applications. So just kind of giving a kind of like, again, back to this idea of platform, you can extend Business Central in ways that don't necessarily require a user to be a BC user in some cases, right? So we see that with CRM and field service. Now, maybe you have a product team as an example, and they want to they have a whole process of bringing a product to market, and they need some place to do that. They could do that in an application that sits in the Power Platform, and when they're ready for it, it automatically could create the item inside of BC as an example, right? Or, maybe I want to have custom quoting solution, and I could do a custom quoting solution there, and those quotes are created instantaneously in BC. So just food for thought, right, about how you can expand the use of your ERP and not necessarily having it user to be in your in that ERP system. Okay. So a couple things also to be aware of. These are in preview right now. So right now, if you're on any screen, right, there's a search icon or search box at the top. Right now, that search is very locked into the record set that you're in. The modern search, right, allows you to do kind of more Boolean type searches, and kind of not allow, I don't have to be as targeted in what I'm looking for, right? Things that I would expect, right? So just think of, hey, starting to bring more of what we're used to, say, doing a web search, right? Down into the ERP application, right? So we're starting to see better uses of it there, and you'll see those start to appear in your list screens coming up soon. This one I kind of like. Everything before I had to go into personalized mode if I wanted to change the width of columns and resize, and now, hey, that is coming and it's going to be like I'm able to do that on screen, so more of a modern experience. I don't have to go up to personalize to do that. So looking forward to that showing up. There's nothing more annoying for me than where part of a column is covered and I want to expand it, and then I want to remember that I did it, right? And so we'll see that come here shortly, and with one of these minor releases here. I think the 0.1 release. So there's two ways of getting forms. So form meaning like we'll just say sales quotes, orders, invoices, purchase orders, pick, pack slips, those type of things, right? Forms, things that we output. And the legacy way of getting those was what they call through an RDL form. So think of it like SQL reporting services, so kind of a more formal way of being able to produce output. So there's a real push now for Word documents have been available to use in those same capacity in Business Central, but there was a lot of limitations to those. And so with this release, what we're seeing here is this isn't they're not adding the function necessary to Business Central, but they now, if you're in Word, one of the add-ons that you can, if you go to the add-on at the top of Word, in your Word application and click add-ons, you could search for Business Central. You'll get a Business Central tab now in conjunction with the developer tab that's in Word that allows us to start doing things like commenting and doing conditional visibility and properties such as margins and how we can watermark and how we can hide, we can run do better conditional formatting. So before, the reason the RDLs are better for that is because you had to do that all on the data side. And now which is where you want that to happen. That's why you get fast reports. And so now they're bringing the features and functions that I would normally might have to go to a good report writer to kind of do some of this conditional formatting. Now I can do it in the Word document and let the report data do what it needs to do, but let you as users, or us as users, right, use Word for some of the things, for some of these documents. And then some of the benefits are these are easier to email and modify and include in other correspondence as well. So that's a little bit about our Word doc. So I talked a little bit about this in April. So there's that little URL at the bottom. So in this release, there's 156 recommendations, community contributions that are actually included in this release. I don't have that list in front of me, But you're able, right, to go here, and if you have things that you're like you would like to see in Business Central, right, you can go in to this URL and you can ask for uh, make recommendations. So you log into Microsoft 365, and then and you go to this, experience.dynamics.com/ideas, right? And you can search. So first see if your idea is already out there. If it is, upvote it. So on the page, you can upvote, say, yes, thumbs up. I'd like to see that coming. And by the way, share with people, other people that you would like to upvote it to. Matter of fact, share with us, because we would be happy to LinkedIn that or spread that even broader to get people to upvote those things as well. If you don't see it there, put your idea in, vote for it, and then also, please share those things with like your consultant, your CSM, and we'd be happy to help spread the word, right, on some of those things that you're looking for. And if it gets enough votes, right, at some point, Microsoft will wind that into the product. Now, can you go there and can you see whether it's on their roadmap? Nope. But one day, some release, it might show up inside there. So they're not going to give you progress to where that's at, but when it gets on a release roadmap, you'll see that pop up along the way. Okay. Sure. Slide over here and let's take a look. So just to kind of sum up a little bit here, if you there's this great URL here, and if you go to that URL, there are a bunch of Microsoft published on-demand sessions about a lot of the things that I kind of covered today. They go into great detail in some of those. And so you can kind of pick and choose areas that maybe you are interested in. So maybe it's Copilot, maybe it has to do with subscription billing. Maybe you want to get tuned into what's going on with those Power BI reports as an example. So this URL, right, will take you there to and to some very targeted. I think there's maybe 10 there off the top of my head that you can kind of cue in on if you'd like. But while we're talking to, one of the things, this is some practical things to talk about your Business Central environment, so kind of outside of this update. So there is, we work with a partner in the ISV partner, and one of the things that we're, as a technology partner, as your partner, I mentioned up front, like we want to help you forward look. Everything tends to be hindsight, right? If you think about where we've been before, there's issues. When did I find issues? Well, I found issues typically at the back end of a process, right? At the end of the month, or I didn't even realize I had a problem, and now I've had a problem for an extended period of time. So there's a free app, right, called Health Check that's available that you can install in your environment. And that health check, right, is going to help you look at users and user security. It's going to help you get clued in to some accounting things. So it'll check whether your subledgers or general ledgers are in balance, as an example. Quick analysis of your cash position by bank account. So health check, by the way, it's free. There's some configuration for it. So those that are interested in it, if you want to follow up again at the end of this webinar or with your CSM or your consultant, let us know. We'd be happy to help you get a hold of this. And if you need some assistance with doing the configuration, and then more importantly, understanding what it's showing you. But again, these are out there. You can install this. It's just a tool in your Business Central environment to help you keep your BC environment up to date and inoculated, so to speak, right, throughout its lifespan. So So I would like to thank everyone for attending. I don't know if we got any questions, Greg, that had come in while we were talking.
I didn't, but if you do have any questions, go ahead and drop them in. I'll wait a couple seconds.
Okay.
I don't see anything, Kevin, but if you do find any questions during the process of the update and working through, you can always contact your AE or your consultant. They can help you out. I think that's it, Kevin.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.